In this movie, we'll learn how to fill a text field with text from an external text file. If you'd like to follow along, we're in external.fla in the Chapter 8 folder. Now you may be wondering, why would I ever want to fill a text field with external text? If you're a designer, or if you've ever done any work in any kind of design program at all, and you presented the work to your client or your boss or whoever, and they see it and they say, you know what, it's great, except for I want you to change this little thing, or just make some change in a word in a text field. And then you have to go into your Flash file and hunt it down wherever that text field was. It can be really tedious and kind of frustrating. If you store your text in an external text file, you can have whoever's criticizing your file fix it themselves. That makes life a lot easier. By using an external text file, your work becomes a lot more efficient. So let's take a look at what we have right now. Let's click on the first keyframe of our Actions panel and open up the Actions window by pressing Option F9 on the Mac or F9 on the PC. So we have a variable called external_txt. Data type is a text field equal to a new instance of the text field class. The X is 175. The Y is 100. It has a border. The width is 200. And the height is 200. And we put it on the stage with add child. So let's test the movie. And we have a text field in the center of the stage. Now there are a few steps in order to get an external file. So the first thing that we have to do is create something called a URL request. After the first line, let's click, go to the next line, type var, and then a space. And then I'm going to call this external REQ for external request. You might remember in the events chapter, we talked about how to link to a website, and we used the URL request. So that's what we're going to use here. So type a colon, then type capital U, capital R, capital L, and then R for request. Type space equals space, new space, URL, all capital, then a capital R, and spell out request. Open parenthesis. Now it's asking for a URL, that's a string, so type open quote, and inside of the same folder, there's a file called external, so type that in, .txt. It's a plain text file. Type a close quote, close parenthesis, and a semicolon. Let's go to the next line, create a new variable called external load with capital L. Type a colon. And now we're going to create something called a URL loader to load this URL. So type capital U, capital R, capital L, and then loader with a capital L. And type space equals space, new space, URL, loader, capital L, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. This creates a new instance of the URL loader class. And our loader, or our URL loader, is going to load our URL request. Let's go down a few lines and then tell our loader to load our request. So type external load with a capital L, dot load. Then type an open parenthesis. And now we need to type in a request. The name of our request object is external REQ. So let's type in external, capital R, then EQ, close parenthesis, and a semicolon. Now what we want to do is add an event listener so that when the load is complete, or when this text file is finished loading and ready to use, then we can put it inside of our text area. So let's go down a few lines, type external load with a capital L, dot add event listener with capital E and a capital L, open parenthesis. The event type is event with a capital E, dot complete. That's all capital. And that means when this URL, external.txt, has finished loading and is ready to use, then type a comma and a space. Then we can call this event handler text ready with a capital R. close parenthesis, and a semicolon. Let's define the text-ready event handler at the bottom of our code. I'm going to click after the add child on line 15, go down a few lines, type function, then a space, text, ready with a capital R, open parenthesis. This will receive an event, all lowercase, colon, the data type is event with capital E. Close parenthesis. When the load is complete, the information will be sent to this event handler. After the parenthesis, type a colon, then void. Go down to the next line, open curly brace, next line, close curly brace, up arrow, enter. Now we're ready to put that text inside of the text field. So now type external_txt dot text space equals space. Now we'll set the text property of the external text field to event.target. That's the loader, and then .data, then a semicolon. Event is the complete. Event.target, it was referring to the listener that listened for that event, which would be external load. And the data property of external load is equal to this external text file, or the data inside of that external text file. Test the movie. Might have to move the actions panel a little bit. Notice there are a few things that are kind of annoying about this. It scrolls, but it only scrolls to the right. And so each paragraph is on a single line, which is kind of ridiculous. We'll learn how to control the scroll in the next movie, but for right now, let's just make it word wrap so that the paragraphs will look right. Let's close that window. On line 13, after it says external_txt.height, click after the semicolon, press enter. Now we just need to set the word wrap property. And this will cause the words to wrap around instead of going infinitely to the right until there's a new paragraph. So type external_txt.wordWrap. This will cause the words to wrap around. Make sure the W in wrap is capitalized. Space equals space. True. Semicolon. Test the movie. There we go. If you click inside the text field and drag down, it'll scroll. If you wanted to style this text field, you could easily do that. You just apply the text format in the same way that we did it earlier in this chapter. So that is how you load data from an external text file. Just remember to create the URL request. That's going to hold the information about where your text file is. You load it with a URL loader. Then you need to handle it using event.complete. And then you use event.target.data to place the data inside of the text field. Now that you know how to load text, let's make the text scroll in the next movie.